Truth is making a comeback. America's Top Stories with Lisa K. Donner.
Democrats go into full panic mode at the prospect of Brett Kavanaugh becoming the next justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. Crime and punishment for illegal immigrants take center stage, and President Trump plays good cop, bad cop once again. All this and more on this edition of Truth is Making a Comeback. Politics does indeed make strange bedfellows. This week, President Trump nominated a George W. Bush appointee to fill the vacancy on the U.S. Supreme Court. By all accounts, Brett Kavanaugh is a highly respected judge with a long track record. And while there have been a few rumblings of disappointment from social conservatives, most of the right see the president's choice as a solid one. And so the three-ring circus that has become the norm for Supreme Court confirmations goes into full swing this summer in the swamp. Will it be as contentious as some in the past, or do the Dems sense this is a battle already lost? Joining us now is Legal Affairs editor Scott D. Cosenza. So, Scott, give us the skinny on the confirmation as you see it.
Brett Kavanaugh will almost certainly be confirmed by the Senate. He sits on the most prestigious lower court in the federal courts, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. He passed muster to be confirmed for that court, and we have no indication that any behavior or incident of his before or since then would be a disqualifier. So if he keeps his mouth shut and everything goes as we expect, there will be no issues with this confirmation.
Is Kavanaugh a solid choice in your opinion?
Judge Kavanaugh seems to be a solid choice. I haven't read dozens of his opinions, but I have read several, and he seems to greatly value individual liberty and the constraints that the Constitution imposes on government, which are the things that I consider to be most important. Now, I have said before, and I will certainly say it now and again in the future, we won't know for sure until he actually takes the seat on the bench and begins issuing opinions. But for now, it seems like a strong choice.
Any final thoughts, Scott?
Well, my thought is just that I would like to see a confirmation process where judicial philosophy was able to be openly discussed and not the burlesque that we have had and will have. And that is the doing of both parties, and it would take the undoing by both parties. And I think it's a worthwhile endeavor, and we should try to do it for the future of the Republic. It won't be in place certainly for this nomination or likely the next, but we can get to a place where we really do learn about these candidates' philosophies. And given the import of their decisions and jobs, I think we should.
Democrats are in free fall these days with reports that their blue wave is turning into a trickle. Now that President Trump gets a second bite at the mother of all executive actions, another nomination to the U.S. Supreme Court, they are in a full state of panic. Sean Hannity even went so far as to say the Democrats are in apocalyptic mode. Joining us now is LibertyNation.com's Sarah Cowgill with some analysis. Sarah, is it really as bad for the Democrats as they think?
The Democrats are deeply divided. They have fractured since the 2016 election after they basically snubbed Bernie Sanders. And you've got factions going on here. You've got the regular, hardcore, neoliberal Democrats that are more worried about the economy. You've got the socialist Democrats that want to steer into the skid of free everything for everyone and more government interference. And excuse me, and you have the progressives who are just out there with no message. I think the Democratic Party is about ready to implode, just almost the way the Republicans did when Trump rose to the top in 2015. And it might be the best thing that happens to them.
So how can Donald Trump capitalize on the division in the Democratic Party?
There are a lot of people fleeing the Democratic Party with the inciting of violence and their rhetoric, and with Antifa, with Representative Maxine Waters calling for a physical pushback on anyone related to Trump, whether it's his cabinet, his staff, or his supporters. Excuse me. And those people are looking to land somewhere in civility once again. I think you're seeing an exodus of the Democratic Party, maybe to independent, maybe to Republican, but they're leaving in droves because of the antics. Nobody can stand what's going on. So not only do I think that blue wave that people have been predicting is going to be more of a drip, 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 but I believe that if Trump wishes to, he will waltz right back into office in 2020 unless the Democrats get their act together.
Polls from both the left and the right show that immigration is the #1 topic in America today. And that brings us to the hot-button issue of crime and punishment. President Trump has implemented a zero-tolerance policy at the U.S.-Mexican border. But he's also expressed a commitment to advancing fair and balanced policies on crime and punishment. Liberty Nation's Jeff Charles joins us today. Jeff, what do you say regarding the president's stance on immigration and crime?
I think a lot of what President Trump has said as far as crime and punishment has been pretty spot on. I like the idea that he wants to crack down on crime while still taking a look at our prison system. So I think that the balance between those two aspects is a great approach. So when it comes to crime like illegal immigration, zero tolerance policy, now there may have been some issues with how that was rolled out, but at the same time, it's a good idea to crack down on certain types of crimes and to basically keep the American public safe while still making sure that our justice system is treating people fairly when they are in the system.
Jeff, how does this compare with the Democratic strategy?
Well, the Democrats, when it comes to crime, obviously haven't been very good. I mean, we see this whole thing with the illegal immigration issue. They're more concerned about the families being separated at the border, which is a valid concern, but they're not as concerned as the actual victims of illegal immigration when it comes to Americans who lose their children because illegal immigrants who shouldn't have been here in the first place are committing violent crimes. Or when it comes to human trafficking, which a lot of the people that are victims of human trafficking are victimized through illegal immigration. So the Democrats are more selective about the criminals that they would like to punish or not punish. But even when you look in urban communities that are high crime areas like Baltimore, Philadelphia, DC, Chicago, most of those or all those cities are run by Democratic leadership who are very soft on crime, which is why you see the high murder rates, which is why you see a lot of the drug use and the drug dealing.
And now for my parting shot of the week. Sometimes it takes a personal experience to understand larger things. This week, my brother shared with me his opportunity to meet, shake hands, and briefly talk to President Trump. He said, "Mr. President, you're doing a great job. Keep up the great work, and don't let anyone get you down." The president stopped and looked at him in the eye and said, "Don't worry, I got this." My brother said that Trump didn't sound arrogant, but rather confident in his statement. And that got me to thinking how the great negotiator-in-chief has been able to accomplish so much in such a short time. You've heard of the psychological play called Good Cop, Bad Cop. Well, to negotiate, one must be able to read people, have a sense of good timing, and understand what pushes their buttons. That's when it came to me. The president plays both the good cop and the bad cop all by himself. Witness his rabble-rousing with Kim Jong-un. For months he goaded him, called him Little Rocket Man, and went toe-to-toe with the North Korean strongman. But when he got to Singapore, he was Mr. Nice Guy, prodding Kim to discover what economic prosperity can do for him, giving him a peek inside the beast. The vinegar and the sugar are what put the president in the driver's seat. Likewise, in the run-up to the NATO meeting, Trump's bad cop has emerged. He's hammered our allies mercilessly to step up and pay their fair share. It's been a vociferous back and forth. As Laura Volkovic wrote on LibertyNation.com this week, Trump is expected to once again play the black sheep at the summit, as he likely intends to make life difficult for leaders such as German Chancellor Angela Merkel, who have yet to fulfill their NATO commitments. This is when the president turns on the charm. Prepped for confrontation, he's got them on the defense. But that's when his inner good cop shows up. Foreign leaders will be pleasantly surprised and, more importantly, willing to make a deal. It's not rocket science, but it is common sense. And that's something that has been sorely lacking in an American president for a long time. Old-fashioned common sense with a little bit of guile. It's much like the scripture from Matthew 10:16 that reads, "I'm sending you out like sheep among wolves. Therefore be as shrewd as snakes and as innocent as doves." And that's my parting shot. Join us again next week for Truth is Making a Comeback, America's Top Stories. I'm Lisa K. Donner. Thanks for watching.
Click like and subscribe and visit libertynation.com today.